enjoy trying new foods by chatting happily. I call them little charmers. You know, they're like, oh, yeah, it's really crunchy. Or, oh, my daddy really likes that. You know, my brother eats that all the time. Green beans, yeah, you cut them open. They have little beans in there, Jack and the Beanstalk. Like, these kids are so good at talking about the characteristics of the food. You guys are like, thumbs up, I know. That the problem with that is as adorable as they are, when you're talking about the food, you're not eating the food. And the way a lot of that comes to be is, for those of us who are professionals and in feeding therapy, we are taught to encourage kids to talk about the characteristics of the food. Is it crunchy? Is it smooth? Is it warm? What does it feel like in your mouth? Does the green bean squeak when you bite on it? And all of that is great. But a lot of the kids, especially those who are really bright, quite the charmers, and gosh, kind of the mayors of the neighborhood, you know, those kids, I mean, like they're going to be president of the senior class, you just know it. Well, those kids often are high achievers and really kind of high in terms of anxiety. But the way they cover it up is by being really charming. And you have to kind of watch that with them, because they'll use this conversational skill they have to avoid eating the food. So what you want to do in that case is still continue to talk about the foods and enjoy that sort of food exploration. I'm all about food exploration. But when you get the sense that that kid is talking so that they don't have to eat, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, if you're sitting around having dinner together and they ask you a question, Mommy, are we going to the park later? Take a bite of your food and teach a rule in your family that this means, just a minute, I need to take a bite, or I can't talk to you, just a moment. You know, as adults, we do that all the time. We put some food in our mouth, we go, we're trying to chew. And just take a minute and focus on your food and eat it pretty slowly, that first bite, and then turn and respond to them. The reason why I say that is, if you do that enough, the kids will learn that they have to wait for your response. Preschool teachers do this all the time by touching the child on the shoulder. So if they're talking to Mrs. Smith and a little kid comes up and starts tapping them on the shoulder, they'll reach over and touch that child's shoulder so they know, I know you're there, but I'm busy talking to Mrs. Smith, and as soon as I'm done, I'll come over to you. You're doing the same thing by doing this while you're taking a bite. And I wouldn't even look at that kiddo, to be honest with you. I'd go kind of slow, because what you're teaching them to do is wait. What's happening when they're waiting? They're not talking. So now you're not reinforcing the behavior of talking instead of eating. Okay, so now that there's a few moments of silence, they're much more likely to possibly put something in their mouth or lick it or whatever, and you're not going to cue them because they're busy waiting for you. That's really the key.